Hey there, guys. LJ back. Happy Sunday morning. And I'm popping in, looking to be efficient with the time because I totally appreciate any attention that you stop by and give to this topic and some of my thoughts on it. But today, I want to get into a little more of what I mean and the how with how to cure anxiety. And yes, I do realize that that's kind of edgy to talk about curing it. But remember that word cure, as I talked about yesterday, as I looked it up more, really just means to rehabilitate, to soothe, to make better, to bring back into balance, right? So it doesn't mean make it go away completely, right? But this is about helping us manage this thing called anxiety that seems to be such a thing for so many of us. Sorry, kitty knocking the tripod. So yeah, again, this is really coming from my heart to help anyone who wants some more ideas on how to manage your own feelings of anxiety. Whether it's something that's just like a light thing that's part of your life, and it really is a part of all of our lives, right? So it's not about erasing anxiety, but to me it's about wrapping even our minds around it differently. Some of this is about the yoga psychology, really, that I see we can bring to this. Maybe a more connected approach, and just empowering us more to understand this phenomenon that is affecting so many of us, right? Kids, teens, adults of all ages are feeling challenged with this anxiety thing. So this is, yeah, again, just my effort to share what I've seen can work from so many angles from the world of yoga and meditation. And it is a multi-pronged approach. So yes, there are fabulous 1-minute ideas that can work, and I do want to be sharing those with you. But also a big part of it is how we're looking at it, how our perspective is on something like anxiety, how we're understanding it, and I feel like that's part of the empowerment here. So that's what I want to talk about more today, is this idea that I brought up already yesterday that it's all energy, right? Which is a principle that's been talked about really in all the traditions, all the religions, for all the ages. But for some reason, it's new news to a lot of us, especially Westerners, perhaps. We've forgotten that even those atoms that all of our body is made up of, all of our systems, all of our cells, even we now know our thoughts are energy. It's all made up of energy, and it's all energy, right? And so even our feelings are energy. And then, yes, that thing that we're calling anxiety, we could start to see is energy too, right? So we can start to even realize that just the perception of it, I feel, as energy is going to shift it right away, just to, instead of some of the other ways we might feel it. Because part of what goes on with the anxiety thing is, right, we start to become afraid of the sensations, right? We start to become afraid of it coming back. And the more that I think even we decide that it's a thing that we have, or just it's a part of our personality, or it's even something we were born with, that we like get anxiety, right? Which again, I want to honor that we all have different levels of experience with it, and it's hardcore and it sucks and it really impairs lives. And that's why I'm talking about this, because I feel how much it's hurting so many of us, right? So, but really, just I feel like starting with things like this, realizing that it's all energy, so that when we start to get those sensations that may go with what we call anxiety, as we start to just right there start to remember, oh, that's energy that I'm feeling, right? And part of the yoga understanding, we might say, the more connected approach that we can bring in, again, is understanding that our body's made of energy, our mind, those thoughts are energy, the feelings and sensations are energy, and everything in the world is energy, right? And we now know a lot more, and this has been in a lot of ancient systems, holistic medicine, Chinese medicine and such, this knowing that we've got energy going on in our bodies, and there is a thing that happens with a lot of us where we get stuck energy happening for various reasons. We also now understand more about how we store trauma, stress, all sorts of things that we go through. Now turns out we store that in our bodies. So all of this energy going on and being held on, and even energy blockages, right, that are probably going on in a lot of our bodies. And also that we now know we definitely are affected by other people's energy, right? So this is not something to be afraid of, but this is just something to realize, right? And again, maybe to build in more practices to tune ourselves so that, if anything, I like to see that, we can bring an energy into the room instead of feeling afraid of the energy of others. But at the very minimum, not acknowledging that this is going on for all of us. We've got this stuck energy. We've got energy flow issues probably going on. We've got energy we're picking up from other people, right? We've got energy from trauma of life that's going on in our bodies. And then there's energy in the planetary systems, right? Collective energy going on. And then if you're a spiritual person, you might even get into the fact that it's all spiritual and it's spiritual energy. And that even as we're getting more tuned and aligned and tapped in, right, that we might actually experience more energy that could feel like anxiety. So yeah, as we just start to see it differently, that it's all energy. And so then we start to see, oh, it can become about our managing that energy, right? And finding ways to soothe ourselves that shift the energy, right? That help free up the stuck energy, that help get energy moving, that help us shift how the energy's flowing even, right? And that there is such thing as momentum, right? So that we can start to see that an energy starts to build and a momentum, and so something like anxiety definitely has a momentum to it, right? So that's where I'm all about doing things more like each day that can tune us back towards how we want to feel. We can stay on top of the momentum of the energy of it all, right? And then again, the bonus of doing things, even just simple things in the moment, like even just relaxing, right? We hear about that thing, and that is kind of the obvious opposite of anxiety, right? But to think about what happens with our energy when we do even try relaxing a little bit more, that too really is a nice way to shift our energy, because it's going to help energy already start to flow more smoothly and more easily, right? And help us even as we do things like using our breath differently, which we'll talk more about, but just taking a little bit slower, deeper breath, right, is a way to bring in fresh energy and already start to free up energy. And the exhales are really important with things like anxiety, I notice, and I'll talk about that more in future videos, like more specifics on how to use breath. But yeah, as we start to see it's all energy, and then we start to realize that we have these tools to help us manage our energy, shift our energy, help us let stuff go, help us keep freeing up that trauma from the past that may be part of that anxiety experience, help us keep finding ways to let go of other people's energy that we're probably picking up every day, right? So not to say we need to be afraid of that again, but just what if we did more to make sure we're just freeing stuff up, letting stuff go, keeping that energy flowing smoothly, and doing things to tune our energy more towards calm, if that's how we want to see it, right? So yeah, and there's all sorts of tools in the world of yoga and meditation, and even things you might not even think of, like things like walking, things like time in nature, things like journaling, things like music and sound are amazing to shift our energy, right? And a lot of that does have to do with our focus, right? And our attention, which is part of what we use and look at with the whole yoga meditation approach. Yeah, but just this principle, I feel like can be really helpful for more of us to learn, for us to teach that to our kids and our teens, that it's all energy. And that feeling called anxiety is energy too. And so we can gently, lovingly attend to that when we do have those feelings. So that's where I love to share that we can use these practices, these approaches, both responsively, like if we're noticing we're feeling terrible, we can use these things to instantly shift and feel better, right? And though preventatively, they work really well too. So I suggest both, that we start to be ready to respond as needed in the moment with some of the simplest things we can do, just in approaching it as energy, right? And shifting it as energy, and even the imagination gets involved as we start to see it all as energy, right? Instead of how we might be looking at it instead, like it's a disorder, it's a heart attack, it's like all the things that we might start to think otherwise. So yes, I'm hoping this is helpful to you, as I think it is, that just the it's all energy piece that we get from yoga and meditation is a piece that I think can be super helpful with anxiety, with moving towards curing our anxiety and bringing it back towards just a normal part of life that we feel like we can listen to and we can read and we can respond to and we can stay on top of, right? So that it doesn't have to impair our lives or limit us or affect us physically, right? Because yeah, it's not feeling great on the body for various reasons. So yeah, I think that's mainly what I wanted to say today about how it's all energy. And yeah, I'm going to keep sharing simple ideas to help us see how we can play with the energy work, the energy medicine that you get to do to yourself with things like yoga, meditation. So yes, receive energy healings from other people too. That's great, and that'll help shift your energy, and I'm all for that. Although I am a big do-it-yourselfer myself, and that's what I'm really teaching here is I'd love to help you know how to do it yourself. And then sure, let other people help you with your energy. But we all, I think, eventually have to build in some ways to manage our energy. And the more that we're even getting into our spiritual practices, our creative flow, yeah, just life, it probably does mean that more and more we're going to need to keep tuning ourselves. Not meaning we have to get out of life, but knowing even more how to bring it into life, right? So that we can be in the energy we want to be in, right? Which is probably not that anxiety. So, okay, hope that's helpful. I think I'll sign off here, and I'll be back tomorrow with more in this How to Cure Anxiety series. All right, love you guys so much. And again, I really appreciate your attention here. It means a lot that you're taking time to listen. Thanks a lot. Namaste.